Imagine a quiet night under a sky full of stars, the moon casting a silver glow on the rippling waters of the Tiber River. Amid the gentle lapping of the waves, a small basket drifts, holding two helpless infants. The river is calm, but beneath the surface, danger lurks. These are no ordinary children. Romulus and Remus, the sons of Mars, god of war, their lives hanging by the thinnest of threads. Abandoned, betrayed, their fate decided by the cruelty of a king who feared their power, they float silently toward an uncertain end. High above, Mars watches, his heart pounding like the thundering hooves of a warhorse. He feels the weight of the moment, his sons, his legacy drifting away from him. The air is thick with tension, the only sound the soft splash of the basket brushing against the rocks. Mars's divine gaze narrows, torn between the rules of the gods and the fury of a father. Will he break the sacred laws to save them? Will the river claim them before destiny can take hold? In the distance, the wind begins to howl, carrying with it the scent of rain and the sound of wolves. Time slows. Every second stretches out, charged with dread and anticipation. The world holds its breath as Mars watches the tiny basket float farther into the shadows. What will become of his sons, these twins who carry the blood of gods? To truly grasp the fate of Romulus and Remus, we must journey back to a night drenched in mystery and desire. Picture Rhea Silvia, a Vestal virgin, her life bound by sacred vows of chastity, her every breath dedicated to the flame of the goddess Vesta. But in the shadows, the air thick with tension, Mars, the god of war and untamed passion, cast his gaze upon her. There, beneath the moonlit sky, destiny shifted. Mars saw not just a mortal woman, but the vessel through which greatness would be born. In a forbidden union, their fates intertwined, and soon Rhea carried twin sons, each pulse of life within her echoing with the strength of Mars and the royal blood of Alba Longa. But this was no cause for celebration. Their very existence struck fear into the heart of King Amulius. The thought of these boys, sons of a god, with royal blood coursing through their veins, threatened his fragile hold on power. He could almost hear the whispers of revolt in the air, the footsteps of destiny marching toward him. In his desperation, the king hatched a plan as cold and unforgiving as the river where the infants would soon be cast, their fragile lives hanging by the thinnest thread. What would become of these children, born of gods yet hunted by men? The storm was gathering, and tragedy was only beginning to unfurl its wings. Beneath the shadowed canopy of the ancient forest, the cries of two helpless infants echoed through the wilderness. The Tiber River had spared them, but survival seemed impossible, until the she-wolf arrived. Her golden eyes, fierce yet gentle, found the twins, and against all odds she nursed them, cradling them in the warmth of her fur as if they were her own. Romulus and Remus grew, not in palaces of stone, but beneath the open sky, learning the language of the wild, feeling the earth beneath their bare feet, and watching the stars above them every night. Each day in the untamed woods, their instincts sharpened. They learned to stalk their prey, to move without a sound through the brush, and to protect themselves from the dangers lurking in the shadows. But it wasn't just their strength that grew, it was their unbreakable bond. Together, they became more than brothers. They became leaders, destined for greatness. Their eyes gleamed with a fire that spoke of something greater than themselves, even if they did not yet understand it. As fate would have it, they were taken in by a humble shepherd who raised them as his own sons. But as they defended the vulnerable from marauding bandits and stood up for justice, Mars, watching from the heavens, felt a surge of pride. His sons, unaware of their divine lineage, were already shaping the world around them. They were the heartbeat of a legend yet to be written. With each passing day, their destiny whispered louder, and the world braced for the rise of its future kings. As Romulus and Remus grew into strong, fearless men, the weight of their hidden past began to surface like a long-buried secret clawing its way to the light. The day they discovered their true lineage was a moment of both awe and fury. Sons of Mars, god of war, and rightful heirs to the throne, they were betrayed by their own blood, the treacherous King Amulius, who had stolen everything from them. The air felt electric with tension, and the fire in their hearts, passed down from Mars himself, ignited with a thirst for justice. Their eyes burned with determination as they gazed upon the city that should have been theirs, feeling the pulse of the land that had been denied to them for so long. The wind carried the sound of their names whispered like a forgotten legend among the people, as they rallied their loyal followers with words that stirred the soul. Romulus and Remus stood tall, their muscles taut with anticipation, as the drums of war beat in the distance. Every step they took toward the throne of their enemy was filled with purpose. Their feet crushed the earth beneath them as they marched, the sky darkening above as if the gods themselves were watching. This wasn't just a fight for a crown. This was a battle to reclaim their birthright, to restore their honor, and to forge a new city from the ruins of betrayal. A city that would stand as a testament to their strength, their justice, and the unstoppable force that Mars had instilled in his sons. As Romulus and Remus marched toward their shared destiny, the air between them thickened with unspoken tension. Every step was a reminder of their bond, forged through survival and brotherhood, but now tested by the weight of their future. The wilderness had hardened them. Together, they had fought off enemies, their blades gleaming with the blood of those who dared to challenge them. Yet, it was not the clash of swords that would tear them apart. It was the silent battle brewing within their hearts. With each passing day, the question of where to build their city loomed larger, like a storm gathering on the horizon. Romulus envisioned a towering fortress upon the Palatine Hill, a symbol of strength that would echo across the ages. Remus, however, saw something different, an empire built on the Aventine Hill, closer to the people, closer to the earth they once roamed. Their dreams, once aligned, now stood as two separate peaks, neither willing to yield to the other. As they stood atop their chosen hills, the wind howled through the valleys between them, as if the gods themselves were whispering warnings. Eyes narrowed, jaws clenched, the brothers locked gazes across the divide. This was not just a disagreement, it was a battle for the soul of Rome. The gods watched from the heavens, knowing that the threads of fate were tightening around them, drawing the brothers toward an inevitable and tragic end. The founding of Rome teetered on the edge of tragedy when Remus, with a spark of defiance, dared to mock the very walls his brother Romulus was building. The tension between them had been simmering, but in that moment, it erupted. Remus's laughter echoed through the twilight air as he leapt over the half-built wall, his challenge hanging heavy in the air. Romulus froze, his heart pounding, his vision narrowing. The city they had dreamed of creating together now seemed to tremble beneath the weight of their rivalry. In a heartbeat, rage overtook him, a fury so primal it silenced the world around him. With one swift strike, Romulus's hand brought down his brother. The silence that followed was deafening. Remus lay still, his life extinguished by the very man who should have stood beside him. As Romulus stood over his brother's lifeless form, the enormity of what he had done began to crush him. The prophecy had been fulfilled. Rome, born from brotherhood, was now built on blood. Mars, their father, looked on in silence. The god of war had given life to both sons, but now one was lost, and the other stood alone, the weight of the future pressing down on his shoulders. Romulus's heart, once filled with the dreams of glory, now ached with guilt and grief. The walls of Rome would rise, but they would forever cast the shadow of this haunting moment, the moment greatness was born from tragedy. Romulus stood alone, the weight of his brother's loss heavy on his shoulders. Every stone he laid, every wall he raised, was built not just for the city, but in honor of Remus, his blood forever etched into the foundations of Rome. The wind whispered through the unfinished streets, carrying with it memories of laughter and rivalry. But now, there was only silence, broken by the sounds of Romulus's determined breath as he labored for his people, for his brother's legacy. As Rome's walls rose, so did the threats from beyond. Foreign armies loomed on the horizon, their banners flapping like dark omens. But Romulus, with the fire of Mars burning in his veins, would not falter. Clad in armor that gleamed under the Roman sun, he marched at the head of his people. His heart, once filled with grief, now beat with the strength of a king forged by loss and battle. The clash of swords rang through the air, the ground trembling beneath the feet of warriors. In the heat of battle, bloodied but unyielding, Romulus proved his mettle. His war cries echoed through the valleys, a force as unrelenting as the god who watched over him. Mars, from the heavens, saw his son rise as the warrior king he had always known he would become. Rome, under Romulus' hand, was not just a city, It was a symbol of resilience, a testament to the strength of the gods and the unbreakable spirit of man. Victory was theirs, but the cost would forever linger in the shadows of Rome's greatness. Romulus's reign as the first king of Rome marked the dawn of an unbreakable bond between Mars, the god of war, and the heart of the empire itself. Every Roman soldier marching into battle carried not just steel, but the spirit of Mars, whose fierce energy pulsed through every sword strike, every shield raised in defense. The clang of armor, the cries of warriors, it all echoed Mars's presence, his divine hand shaping the destiny of Rome. But Mars was not merely a god of war. He was the father of Rome's greatest ruler, watching over Romulus as he forged an empire from ambition, sacrifice, and the blood of his own brother. As the city's walls rose, so did the weight of Romulus's burden. With every decision, the tension in the air thickened, as if the gods themselves were holding their breath. Eventually, Romulus would be called to join Mars in the heavens, leaving behind a legacy steeped in both triumph and sorrow. The skies over Rome would carry their spirits, ensuring that Mars' protection enveloped the city for eternity. The empire was born, but the true story lay in the whispers of history, the relentless spirit of Mars, the sacrifice of Romulus, and the myth that would shape the very soul of Rome.